Hi and welcome to this little transition tutorial. So right here I have my free clips set up, and what I want to do is actually create like a slide transition. For the setup we have this clip, then we have this clip as normal and then as a mask, and this one as well. So yeah, you can just use any clips with where you have two masks and then one regular one and recreate the transition. But my comp settings right now are these are my comp settings, but you could create this with other settings as well. Okay, but now we'll start working on the transitions. Actually, we're gonna start by extending this clip with freeze on last frame. Now this should, it stops there and just continues. And we want this clip to stay visible until about the end, which is here and of this sequence. And to create the masks, just go up to the rectangle tool, and I like to activate this grid and just create the masks. And because we have two masks, this is still visible from a layer that probably is underneath. Okay, I'm gonna remove this quickly. Okay, now we only have this visible, and with the mask, the mask is on both clips now, and what you can do is just do the subtract mode for one of them. Now we have one side and the other side, and we also want the same effect on the background here, where so I'm gonna just copy the mask actually, since the clips have the same format, or the pre-comps I made the same format. I'm gonna duplicate the mask, duplicate the clip by pressing Ctrl D, and with Ctrl and C you copy the mask, and then with Ctrl V you paste it. And again we want one of the clips to have it activated to add, and one of them to have it activated to subtract, just so we again have this. Now we have both of these clips set up, and for the last one actually we don't need the two masks. And for this transition I want it to reveal this, so I'm gonna move it above those two layers, and gonna move the masks now, and the whole rotation thing and so on I'm gonna create it later on, but we'll come to that later. And now you can just press V to return to the regular selection tool, and now I'm gonna double click the masks and I'm gonna just move it. And if you hold shift while you move the mask, you can just move it horizontally or vertically, and I'm just gonna move it horizontally. But actually I don't want to move the mask, I just realized, because what I really want to do is, this would give this effect. I really want to move the whole layer, so I don't even have to animate the masks, which means I'm just going to turn this one off, and I'm going to go to the position property. If you press P on the keyboard, you can just go there, and then I'm going to animate the position property, and now I'm going to drag this until it's out of the frame. Okay, now we have this slide out transition, And now I'm going to press P on the second clip as well. P to bring this up and animate the keyframe again. This time we want to move it in the other direction. Okay, now it looks like it's almost the same. And because I don't want a black clip to be like there in the beginning, I'm gonna select these frames, just dragging the box around them. And now we have it revealing this. But the motion looks kind of static and boring. I'm gonna remove the proportional grid because I don't like the look of it too much. But I'm gonna select these and press F9. It's just a shortcut to easy ease them. And then if you go to the graph editor here, and you can press this to fit the graphs to the view, you can see it's now just a smooth transition. Yeah, maybe I'll change it up afterwards, but I think I'm gonna leave it like this for now. And we basically want the same thing to happen to the lower clips. So I'm gonna press P on both of them to bring this up. And since the clips are in the same, you can see in the beginning these have the same position mark as the lower ones, I can just copy. I'm gonna do it with the upper layer first. So the upper layer actually is the left side of my masks. And here, this is the left side as well, the upper layer. So I'm gonna copy these keyframes and I'm gonna paste them here. And actually, since we also want this to reveal this, I am first gonna put this completely down, and I'm gonna extend these layers as well, both the background layers, by pressing Shift and clicking on both of them. And I'm gonna do freeze on last frame, just like with the other one. And because I want it to reveal again, I'm gonna drag these keyframes and move them so that it starts when the other clip starts as well. So we don't have a black background. Now I'm gonna copy the lower from the lower layer, which is the right side of the mask, and move it to the right side here as well. And now we should have the same thing going on here, yeah. So we have this and then this. Okay, this is nice. And now, since I want later on all of this to rotate 90 degrees, so 90 degrees would mean, put in 90 here, it would turn like this up. I'm gonna actually do my negative 90, I think, yeah. Then since I want it to be like this, this should slide open, revealing this, and then it all should turn. I'm gonna change the rotation of this background. But actually, I think I'm gonna do it later on, but we will have to change the rotation of this. But now let's first deal with the masks. So since these are the background layers and we have the mask layer here, and I want the masks to kind of rotate, I'm gonna animate the rotate value. The rotation, press the keyframe, and now I'm gonna move it. Okay, here we can see it to, I think, to 90. I often go for 90 when I'm doing a rotation. Then I'm selecting these and I'm going to go into the graph editor, select the keyframes, press Easy Ease or F9, and then especially for this rotation I want it not to just be like smooth, I want it to be very fast in the end of the transition. And actually, what looks kind of nice and what makes this whole transition more smooth, I'm gonna move this a little back, is if you have like a little anticipation, I think is what it's called, where the rotation first goes into the one direction and then it goes into the other, so like the object almost it gets the movement and then it actually performs the rotation. And now I'm actually gonna move this clip more. I don't know if when I'm moving it, it's gonna offset, so I have to do the freeze on last frame again. And gonna move this rotation thing about here, I think. So with how I'm placing the keyframes, you don't have to do it the exact way that I'm doing it, and with the timing especially. It's definitely dependent on your audio and everything, but I hope you get what I'm doing is just animating the rotation. And now I want the mask here to have this to rotate as well. So I'm gonna copy these keyframes and paste them down here. But since this is like the out transition, I'm gonna go to keyframe assistant and then do time reverse. And now what we have is, okay, when the rotation ends, I want this clip to end as well. And I want this clip to begin when this ends. Okay, what we have now is like this kind of rotation, but yeah, it just moves there and back again. That's not what I'm going for here. You could do a transition like this, but I actually want this to be -90, so it moves in the other direction. Now we get something weird, and I'm gonna show you when I'm going to the graph editor, because I just copy and pasted the keyframes, and these handles in the graph editor, when you change a value, they will stay the same, so you'll get a weird animation when you change the keyframes. So I'm gonna adjust these handles again, and like I did with the in transition, I want this to this time begin quickly, so that the transition is quick in the beginning and then it's slower. But then I'm gonna drag this to be kind of longer, and now we have this rotation. I'm not completely happy with it yet. I think because I know why. So this is dependent on your clip, but here the rotation, it always goes around this anchor point you see here, and if I press A, we can bring up this anchor point, and you can see at this point it changes. And when you go to this tool, where you pan behind anchor tool is what it's called, anchor point is what it's called, you can actually move this by yourself. And I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna place it like in the middle of the character. Yeah, and I have stamping enabled. That's why this point sometimes snaps to other layers, but that's not what I need right now. But yeah, now I have the anchor point here, and now we have a nicer rotation. But it's the same with this clip. The anchor point isn't really in the middle of the character, so I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna change it so that it's more in the middle. Now we have a nicer rotation. I think it looks more nice. Yeah. Okay, now we have some basics. Okay, what we are missing now is, here we have the background still. Okay, we are missing this main movement of the big rotation. I just selected all the layers by pressing Shift and go, then to close this, all the properties, so that we have it a little more sorted. Okay. now to create a big transition of all the objects and to actually separate the background from the mask. I think I'm gonna separate the background from a mask already by using an effect called tritone. I like this effect a lot to just do some color corrections, and yeah, I'm gonna go for a dark blue, I think, like around this. And I'm gonna copy this effect and paste it here, and I'm gonna do the same for this background layer. Oops, move this around. Just so we have a little separation. And later on I will also probably add something with the mask, but that's for the end. And now, yeah, this mask should be more in the middle, but I think, yeah, we're gonna do that later on as well. Now let's do the rotation first. So I'm gonna do the rotation by adding a new null layer, or null object layer, and I'm pressing Ctrl Shift and D to cut this layer into two pieces wherever this playhead is. Yeah, and here again I'm pressing Ctrl Shift and D to do it again, and then I'm gonna press the delete key to delete these, so that this layer is just as long as the clips are. And now to get the main rotation for all of the clips, I'm gonna select all of them by pressing Shift and then I'm gonna parent pick this to the null layer, and now you can see that all of them are parented. And now I'm gonna go into this null object, and if I now change anything here, then all of the layers will get these changes. And that's kind of what I want, but yeah, for now we want, like, when this happens, we want a rotation when this transition happens. So I think I'm gonna do -90 here. Yeah, that looks interesting, but I actually okay, when after this rotation happens, what I want is that these clips are not like this, but instead that they are facing the right direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of them and press R to bring up the rotation. Now we can see, okay, these have some animated rotations, so I'm gonna go here, and for this, both of these, with pressing Shift, I'm changing the rotation to +90, which is the exact opposite of this. Now you can see that it has the rotation I wanted to have, but now the masks are moving differently, which is because if I press M to bring up the masks, and we didn't animate the masks, but we did animate the positions. I'm sorry, so pressing P. Now we have to change this value, which means I'm gonna delete both of these keyframes, and I'm gonna animate it again by pressing the keyframe stopwatch, and here I'm gonna just move them both out. Now this should work. Now we should get this sliding out effect, and I think So now what I want is that these layers are still visible when this ends. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this both of these position changes not be as adjust them so that they are not as big, the position changes. And what I'm also gonna do is that I'm gonna change the overall scale of the null object, which means this size of all of the objects is gonna be changed, which you can see here. So I'm gonna actually do it like this. And I'm also going to add an effect later on that will cover up these black areas here. But yeah, that's all part of, that's gonna happen later on. But now we have this going on. So the mask move outwards. And then we have the mask moving there. And okay, now what we still need to fix are these masks. And I'm selecting this layer and then I'm pressing Ctrl to select the other layer. And I'm gonna go to the rotation value. And what I want is, since this is turned minus 90 degrees, and we have this one at 0, we want this to be at plus 90 in the beginning, so that it's, because if you have plus 90 to minus 90, it's at 0, so the rotation is set back to normal. And now we can see actually this rotation doesn't really work anymore, since at the end we have a value of plus 90 as well. So to make it again be like increased by 90 degrees, I'm going to change it to plus 180. And here we want it at the end to be at plus 90 as well. And we're gonna move the whole thing in the middle later on. And here we want it not to be minus 90, but at minus 180 degrees. So we again have a change of 90 minus 90 to, wait, no, sorry, yeah, maths aren't my strong suit, but this should be 0 since we have a difference of 90 degrees here, and from plus 0 to plus 90 it's 90 again. Now we have the nice transition, rotation transition back, and we're gonna press P. For this one I'm just gonna select these and close this off so that we can more clearly see which layer we're working on currently. But here we have the position property. I'm not gonna animate it, but I'm gonna just make it move in the middle of the composition. So I think this should be okay, yeah. And then for this one as well, press P and then change the position of it. Yeah, looks nice. Now what we could do is adjust how big like these layers are. We could either make it like cover up the whole thing. This could work, but yeah, that's right. I wanted to add like an effect that would cover up all of the black space. I think I'm gonna press Ctrl Z and remove or undo the scale I did. And first let's add like the effect I wanted to add, which is I think repeat, yeah, that's what it's called. And now we can expand this up and down. That's what I want to do, and I'm gonna copy this effect by pressing Ctrl C and then here Ctrl V. Now we have, yeah, here you can see there we have a small black space still left. So we have to expand it not to the right, since this one is just a left mask. We don't want to expand to the right. but we want it to expand a little to the left so that we can cover up this. Yes. And for this, the other side, we want it to expand to the right a little. Okay, why isn't it expanding? Okay, I'm a little confused why it's not expanding the way I wanted to, but we can also fix this by just scaling up the layer. So sometimes there are many ways to like fix small problems like this, but probably there's a reason for why it's not expanding. But yeah, okay, let's bring up both of them, and I think now we shouldn't see any black space anymore. And with this reptile effect I added, what's pretty cool is that you can change the way that these other tiles that are added look, and I like the unfold option. Yeah, but I don't know if I want to go for it here. I think I prefer the repeat option that we had in the beginning. Okay. Now what I'm gonna do is work on this, and I think I'm gonna copy the reptile effect, paste it for these ones, and this time, yeah, again I don't want it. Let's first find out if this time it will work on the right layer. So I'm gonna go to the original right mask layer and copy the reptile effect from here, and now paste it on this one, the right side here. But as you can see again, okay, the reptile doesn't seem to go to fill up this, and well, we could again just increase the scale for this, and I think that's what I'm gonna do. There's another effect that's called motion tile that we could also add. Maybe it would work, but I think I'm just gonna increase the scale for this one. Okay, but now here from the left mask, I'm gonna copy the reptile effect, paste it on the left mask here. Now let's look at it all together. And here's still this black space, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go select both these layers, press S, and bring up that scale value. Since this is the background anyways, I think that with the scale it works. Anyway, yeah. But I kind of don't want, I think this rotation of the null object looks a little static. So what I'm going to do is, after this rotation is done, I'm actually going to, I think I will zoom in for the end, but now let's work on the rotation. So what I'm doing is moving this keyframe, copying the keyframe, pasting it, and here I'm gonna actually make it move more than to -90 degrees. And now I'm gonna select the keyframes, go to the graph editor, select all of them. Yeah. And then press this for easy easing. And since we want the rotation to be, well, what do we want it to be the fastest? I think, yeah, around here. That's where this graph should change the most. And then I want this to happen quite quickly as well. So let's have a look at this. Okay, I think this could be a little slower. So with the graph editor you can just play around and see which look you like the most. We could even change the rotation again, and at the end I think I'm gonna move this keyframe. And you can also hold shift to make it just move around in time and not like up or down. Moving this up or down will change like the value, as you can see here, but pressing Ctrl Z to undo. Yeah, but I think I'm gonna leave it like this. And here I'm gonna add the scale movement. So we already have like a small scale. Zoom out. I think I'm gonna zoom out a little more. And then I'm gonna zoom in at the end again. We have like a nice zoom out and zoom in. It's always, I think most of the time it looks really cool when you have like this zoom out, zoom in, or rotate right, rotate left, just in both directions. And then I'm gonna copy this keyframe and paste it again and increase the, it's auto-saving, increase the scale even more, and go to the graph editor again. And if you can see your frames, you can also press this and fit the graphs to view. I'm gonna make it a little smaller. Again, select all of them. And now, yeah, you can just play around with the graph editor to make the whole rotation scale behave the way you want it to, and everything else you want to animate. And yeah, I want this to change the most when this rotation is happening. So I'm gonna do it right here. Around here is where this should be the quickest. And then it should, I think I'm gonna move this up a little so that it doesn't change as much. Move to the end. Let's have a look. Okay, I think this is almost too extreme. So I'm gonna move it down a little. And maybe even I think I kind of want this to be lower and further to the right. So I'm just gonna drag it there and then have a look. So this is a little too far since we have the black edges here, but we can also just fix this by going to these effect controls, and covering this up by making this expand even more and so on. But this one, I don't think we can, with this expanding thing, we can't really change that much. So I'm just gonna move it like this. Yeah, that already looks okay. And lastly, we still have this background, which I want to be in the direction actually, and we don't have like masks here, so I'm gonna actually make this smaller and add the repeat tile effect again and expand this. I'm gonna copy this value and just expand it in all the directions. Yeah, now we have like this nice transition. And I always like to keep a nice contrast between the masks or the foreground and background layers. And here we already have this tritone effect, which I added, but I also want like the upper layer to be brighter. So for the finishing touches, we're gonna do shadow highlight effect, which I really like to give it all a little make it brighter. And then, but I'm also gonna add the brightness and contrast. So I just have some standard effects I mostly use for this, and you can go for whatever effects you like to do, or whatever style your edit should be in. But here I like to do these effects. And let's have a look at... Right, I wanted to add a little glow as well to the outline. I'm gonna show you this right now too. So I'm gonna Control D, duplicate this clip, and now I'm gonna search for the glow effects. And I have the Sapphire plugin installed, which has a nice set of glow effects, but you can also just use the regular glow effect. And when you have this on the lower layer, then just change the settings here a little to white. And yeah, you have to play around with the settings a little, but then you'll find something you'll probably like. And you can even like change the position of this one so that it has like almost like a little shadow effect. I'm gonna do this. I don't know. I think I like it this way. Yeah, I'm just gonna change the radius a little. Yeah, but you can also, if you have like this plugin, you can also add even more glow. I think for this one I'm not gonna. So with these, I'm gonna do the same thing here. I'm gonna duplicate this and just copy the effects, both the glow effects, copy them and paste them so that I have this mask nicely framed. And I'm also, I have added a shadow highlight, and I'm gonna copy this from this mask and add it here again, but actually let's do a little bit of color correction for this clip. Since it's in a very red hue, I like to add the photo filter to just change the color slightly. Sorry. Sorry, my brothers were making noises, so I just stopped talking for a short time. But yeah, I like to add the photo filter, and you can add a color here and change how strong this should be. And yeah, I'm gonna make it so that it isn't like as red as it was anymore. And now now because of this shadow highlight effect, what can happen is that this kind of changes the adjustment. So if I remove it, it will probably not be like this anymore. Yeah. So I'm just gonna leave this off, or remove the effect and make the brightness a little more. And yeah, now I think I'm quite happy with the result. I'm just gonna put this a little less, and yeah, you can play around a lot with the settings. And just to make it look a little more alike, I'm gonna copy these and paste them here. But I'm not gonna make these effects as strong for this clip. Maybe just like this. I have it at 18 now, and for this one I'm gonna paste the 18 value. Yeah, this already looks kind of cool. Yeah, now you could go crazy and add some overlays to the background, but I think that's already, with the movement and the masks, it's already what I wanted to show you mainly. So I hope you enjoyed this little walkthrough or tutorial of this transition, and I hope you can use these ideas and effects as well in your own projects. And I hope this was helpful, and have a great day. Goodbye.